Hi, everyone. The last major assignment you have for this course is your informative presentation. The handout of instructions and guidelines is already on Blackboard for you to take a look at, but I wanted to hit some of the main points from the instructions just to make sure everyone understands what it is that they need to do. All right, so looking in Blackboard under the link Informative Presentation, which is where I am, you've got up at the top here some links to some different handouts. The first one you'll want to take a look at is the one that says Presentation Guidelines, which I've opened here. And this gives you the guidelines and instructions for the presentation itself. So, some things to keep in mind here. First of all, topic. What is this presentation about? What do you need to talk about? Well, that's really up to you. You're the one who chooses the topic. That's part of the assignment. Keep in mind that this is an informative presentation, so it has to be an informative topic, not a persuasive topic. A persuasive topic is one that tries to get us to change our minds about something or to get us to do something or take some kind of specific action. An informative speech is just teaching us about something. So what I recommend is starting with a topic that you already know about, something that you already understand, that you do, that you like, that you're interested in. You don't need to go out and learn a whole new skill set in order for this presentation. Just talk about something that you're already familiar with. I've given you a few very general guidelines here for types of things that work for informative presentations, but you're free to come up with anything at all. Just like you did with the not reflection, but the skill assessment assignments, you're going to record your presentation on whatever device you have. You're going to upload that video to streamable.com, and then you'll copy and paste the link into Blackboard. So I'll be able to watch your video that way. So here you go, just with some instructions again on how to upload your video to streamable.com, which you've already done, so that should be fairly familiar to you. Let's scroll on down and just take a look at the specific guidelines here. How long does this presentation need to be? Well, the length is 5 to 7 minutes. That's really not very long if you think about it. You're going to be surprised at how fast 7 minutes goes by. So with that, I give you a 1 minute grace period. So the absolute maximum that your presentation should be is 8 minutes. It must be a minimum of 5 minutes. So if it's less than 5 or it's more than 8, you're going to lose 10 points or a full letter grade off your presentation. So you want to practice it, time yourself, make sure you're right within that 5 to 7 minute guideline. For the presentation itself, you can use note cards, you can use a speaking outline, or with your visual presentation, you can just let that be your guide and speak along as you're showing us your visuals as well. So whatever kind of presentation style works for you. Again, I know this is not, you're not speaking in front of a live audience, so it's a little bit artificial, but you still want to make it like you're really talking to people, to an audience here. You do need some citations in your presentation. So whatever topic you pick, keep in mind that, yes, most of it can be your own knowledge, but you need to go out there and find some information that other people have said about your topic. So this is just like writing a research paper where you want to find some topics and source material and incorporate those into your presentation. Be sure you give credit for other people's ideas. Again, just like writing a paper, although in a presentation you say it out loud. I found this information on such and such website, or according to so and so, they said this. All right. Presentation software. You do have to have a visual. PowerPoint, Prezi, or any other presentation software that you might use. You're free to incorporate pictures, videos, YouTube videos, whatever will help enhance your speech. But I do want to see your use of some kind of presentation software. Delivery, well, I've already kind of mentioned that, but just act like you're talking to an audience. And it doesn't have to be really super formal, just conversational, just your own natural speaking voice, like you're talking to some friends. And then, what do you need to actually submit to me? Other than the video itself, you're going to turn in an outline. Let me jump down. There's a link going back to over here to Blackboard that says Outline Template. So when you click on that, it's going to open up a PDF file of the outline template. This is the format that I want you to use. If you follow this template, then all the components that you need in your presentation will be there. For example, attention. Are you getting the audience's attention to start out your presentation? Give us some kind of background. Why do you know about this topic? Why do you want to talk about it? Why is it interesting to you? That's your background statement. And then a preview statement, just give us a little overview of what you're going to be talking about, what your topic is, and maybe state what your main points are going to be. Then you move on into the body of the outline. And what I have on the outline template, 3 main points with 3 subpoints. 3 is just a good guideline to go by. It doesn't have to be exactly 3, might be more, depending on what your topic is. But 3 is a good guideline in a 5 to 7 minute speech. You're not going to have time to speak on 10 different main points. So you're going to have to edit that down and make sure, again, you're fitting within that timeline. And then finally, a conclusion. A conclusion should summarize your main points and give us some kind of final statement. What do you want us to remember or take away from your presentation? So a final statement should not be, that's it, I'm done. Tie it together. Give us a real sense of closure, a sense of finality. And then you want to have your works cited page. So you have to have 3 citations, remember. You need to have those written down on your outline, typed out, just like, again, you would for the references in a research paper. As far as format, I like either MLA or APA, as long as you're consistent, all right? So just be consistent with whatever documentation style you use. All right, going back over to Blackboard here and our presentation guidelines. So that was the outline. So last thing on the handout is just the point distribution, what I'll be looking at for your evaluation. Some things that I just went over in the outline, the introduction, the body, your use of visual presentation aids, your supporting material, that's your citations, your delivery, does it sound conversational? And another thing to keep in mind about delivery is I don't want you just to read your presentation off the page for us. So you should not write out your speech word for word. All right. This is not a paper. This is a presentation. So an outline is all you need, is all you should use for speaking notes as well. An outline or note cards or your visual presentation. The conclusion, again, summarize, give us a note of finality, and then the outline itself is 10 points. So all of those will come together to go into your final evaluation. All right, when is this due? On the schedule, I've got it due Thursday, May 14th. So that's Thursday of next week. If you're feeling really industrious, you may submit it anytime before then, anytime between now and the 14th. That Thursday is just the deadline. So be working on it, and once you feel confident with it, get it recorded and submit that recording to me by the 14th. One other thing I'll say about the video is I would like you to do it in one take. In other words, your entire speech should be just one take on the video, one continuous video, not edited and all spliced together. Again, if you were standing in front of a live audience in a classroom, you wouldn't be able to stop and edit and go back and fix things. So I want it to be just as natural as it can be. I've given you just some links here. These are links to YouTube videos that other students have done and posted onto YouTube before, just for some examples, just to give you an idea of what students have done. And if you go to YouTube and you just search for informative speech samples or something like that, it will bring up a list of hundreds of videos will come up. Take a look at some of those, just again, for some ideas. There's some really good ones, and there's some that, to be honest, are not that great. Sometimes it's good to watch those as well, because then you get an idea of what not to do. So take a look at some samples online, start thinking about your topics, And most importantly, if you have any questions at all about putting this together and what you need to be doing, please let me know. All right, last thing to show you here, still under the informative presentation link. This is how you submit it. Down at the bottom, submit video and outline. So open that link. There we go. So a couple of things you want to do here. The first one, there's a box that says attach files. So this for your outline. When you have your outline written, save it to your computer or your device, and then you want to upload it here. Browse my computer. It'll open up a box for you to upload that file or the outline. And then finally, at the bottom is a comments box. Now, this is just like your skills assessment. This is where you're going to copy and paste that URL link for your streamable video. So outline goes here under attach files, and then the URL link for your video down under comments. You click submit, it sends it all to me, and I'll be able to watch your video and give you an evaluation. That is it. So again, any questions about this assignment, topics, outlines, presentation style, visual aids, any questions you might have, please let me know. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy the assignment, and I really look forward myself to watching your videos and your presentations. All right, good luck, take care, have a great day. Thanks a lot.